Good morning and welcome to Pyjama Preaching for Sunday, the 31st of May, the end of a month. What comes into your mind when you hear the word oppression? In the dictionary, oppression is a noun and it says prolonged cruel or unjust treatment or exercise of authority, the state of being subject to oppressive treatment, mental pressure or distress. In Ecclesiastes 4, the teacher speaks about oppression. So we'll read a few verses now from 1 to 7. Again I saw all the oppressions that are practiced under the sun. Look, the tears of the oppressed, with no one to comfort them. On the side of their oppressors there was power, with no one to comfort them. And I thought, the dead who have already died are more fortunate than the living who are still alive. But better than both is the one who's not yet been, and has not yet seen the evil deeds that are done under the sun. So there's the teacher, looking at the tears of the oppressed. No one comforting them. But equally on the side of the oppressors, who've got power, there's equally no one to comfort them either. And he sees the dead as more fortunate than those that are alive. And even better than that, those that haven't even been born. So, do we see injustice? Do we see racism, sexism, ageism, abuse, hate crime? Are we aware of prejudice? Because that's very much what this passage is all about. Oppressing other people. For a lot of us, probably the most bit of oppression is when we go, "Ooh, isn't the weather oppressive? Isn't it muggy?" And maybe we look through a frame or lenses that don't allow us to see the least of these. And those least of these may be right in front of us. The preacher says, "Then I saw all that toil and all skill in work come from one person's envy of another." Isn't that where the commandments, thou shalt not covet? Coveting something? Being envious of somebody else, keeping up with the Joneses? All of those things. We've given words for it. But now we're in a possession culture. And for most of us now, possessions are just a click away. We pay by credit card. We don't even have to count out money at the moment. It's all on credit. And the preacher reminds us, this also is vanity and chasing after wind. He keeps bringing us down. He grounds us back to it being us, our vanity, our chasing after the wind and trying to catch it, which you can't do. He says, fools fold their hands and consume their own flesh. Better is a handful with quiet than 2 handfuls with toil after chasing after the wind. So is he telling us, be satisfied, be peaceable, find the stillness, find the calm. And he says, again I saw vanity under the sun, the case of solitary individuals without sons or brothers, yet there is no end to all their toil, and all their eyes are never satisfied with riches. So it's just reminding us about one person's envy of another, but even those who are totally solitary, totally isolated, those of us now self-shielding, those of us in lockdown, are we still doing all the while, toiling because, well, That's what we do. And we're never satisfied. We're never grateful. We're never thankful. Think of the riches that God has poured on us. The teacher says, "For whom am I toiling?" they ask, "and depriving myself of pleasure? This also is vanity and an unhappy business." So stop, please, stop. Ask yourself the question, who am I toiling for? What is the point and purpose of this? Is it right? And pray. Seek God's guidance. Ask God to illuminate your view, to help you to see the needy, to help you to identify those that are suffering, genuinely suffering through racism, sexism, ageism, abuse, hate crime, and are treated in a prejudicial way as being less than somebody else, less than me, less than you. So let's pray. Lord, open our eyes to the least of these. Help us to not toil in vain, but to do your work which enriches others. This we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. Have a good day.